This is the Farlands, and nothing even comes close to how truly interesting it really is. Watching people traveling to these large structures themselves, digging down into covering its entire history, and seeing Minecraft fall apart in ways I could never imagine. But there is something these Farland videos never actually showed you, despite everyone thinking it's where the Minecraft world ends. When I came across this image, it told me a completely different story, showing a location beyond the edge of the Farlands that I had to discover. However, this wasn't about to be easy. I started searching through Tumblr posts, GitHub threads, Reddit posts, Minecraft forum pages from 2016, and even scrolling through YouTube comment sections. I sent emails, joined a couple Discord servers, and yet the image still remained a complete mystery. So I had no choice. It was time for me to explore the Farlands for myself. And by looking at my image, it seemed like the floating blocks were located in a corner, a Farland corner. So to better understand what I mean by this, here's a graph of what the Java Farlands look like, and here's where I believe this weird structure took place. So great, I would hop in game, run alongside the Farlands edge until I hit a corner, and that's where my structure would be, right? Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. In fact, once I reached the Farlands corner, it looked nothing like the image. Perhaps I was looking at things wrong. Maybe the weird structure I was looking for wasn't of a corner after all. Although there was one simple question to answer. Was this image actually a real Farland form or some sort of modded version? I knew just the right person to call.
I could see why it's easy to mistake this as from a modded version, but no, it's actually from a real Bedrock version. So if you're going to want to see them for yourselves, then you're going to want to do some digging.
Right. That was Antvenom, and if you didn't know already, he's explored the Farlands more than anyone I know, and he just helped me out massively. I now knew the image was real, and that I'd been looking in the wrong direction. You see, this structure only existed in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, with Java Edition having its very own unique Farland. And as I'd never played Minecraft Bedrock Edition before, I spent the next 2 days looking for a Bedrock launcher, downloading and crashing through different versions, getting super close, and absolutely nowhere all at the same time. Real quick, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe with notifications on, as we are so close to 100,000 subscribers. Okay, back to the video. So once I found a version that worked, I hopped in game with my Farland coordinates, once again ready to teleport, although I wasn't quite prepared for what was next. In place of the Farlands, there was a massive slice cut right through the world, leaving only water and bedrock, almost as if the Farlands had got up and left, leaving a fake world border that I could still cross with a little extra jittery movement. This made no sense. I had got the coordinates right, had I simply gotten the wrong version of bedrock? There was no way. After all, any version before the 1.17.3 Caves and Cliffs update should have still had the Farlands. Although after a quick search, I discovered the Farlands had been completely removed from bedrock. So at this point, I felt like I was truly at a dead end here. Surely there would be a way to find this unique structure, but without the Farland edges to navigate beyond, how would I know where to go, or even where to look? I was completely lost. What I'd found was super interesting, but it fell short each and every time. So I put this video to the side and kind of forgot about it for a while. But a month later, something truly unexpected happened. I got a reply back to one of my emails, revealing 2 new images of the same location from 2 different angles. But that wasn't the unexpected part. Attached with the images was a name, reading the Farlands Skygrid. But when searching up the name online, I found a document listing different structures that generated beyond the Farland edges. But this isn't even the best part. Along with a list of structures, there were coordinates. Coordinates that could potentially help me pinpoint the Skygrid. And since I was about to truly go beyond the Farland edges, I really didn't know what to expect. All I knew was that I was determined to find this Skygrid, so I started exploring. The first coordinate on the document that caught my attention was 16.7 million blocks away from spawn, going by the name Stripelands, a place where the game considers 1 out of every 2 blocks to be invalid. These invalid blocks aren't rendered, and in fact can't be used at all, as nothing exists in the gaps. I also found out pretty quickly that if I teleported into an odd numbered coordinate, I would be completely stuck. Not to mention, structures still generated in the Stripelands, and when coming across a village, I noticed multiple different blocks stretched out. At first, I thought it was my game, but I was wrong. According to the document, all the blocks out in the Stripelands are stretched out, with the exception of chest and shulker boxes only because they're counted as entities. I also came across an ocean monument and realized I could get a super clear image for not even a split second by dipping into the water and quickly flying upwards, revealing how the entire ocean floor is just bedrock. Oh, and not to forget, mobs were still spawning this far out in the world. Sure, most of them were falling right through, but there would be the occasional survivor. But how close was I really getting to the Skygrid? I needed to push on. I went back to reading the document describing another phase of Minecraft breaking down, where two different stripe lands cross each other, creating a stripe land corner. This was intriguing because it looked like a 2D sky grid that took place in a similar location to where I believe the sky grid generated. However, as it turned out, the stripe lands corner are actually just a graphical glitch, and not a terrain generation like the regular Farlands. And for that reason, it answered my question as to why I couldn't cross into it in the first place. Almost as if there was some sort of invisible border. The only way I ended up inside the corner was by teleporting, and even then, I was stuck to a singular tile. So with all this new information and discovery, I could sense I was getting closer. But there was something the document hadn't covered at all. What about the end and nether dimensions? Did these Farland structures exist there too? There was only one real way to find out. I prepared my coordinates, built a portal, and hey, go figure, everything that was in the overworld was also taking place in the nether, meaning the sky grid had the possibility of even generating here. I also later found out the maximum distance by passing through the nether that you can get to is 31.9 million blocks away in the overworld, and that distances beyond get absolutely huge. At one point, I even came across the corner stripe lands within the nether, but it wasn't just impacting the appearance of lava, but also the bedrock above. So what about the end dimension? Would it drop clues towards the sky grid? Well, this is where things get super interesting. Since there is more void than blocks in the end, there wasn't as much for the game to break down, although the occasional floating islands were either missing blocks in the same fashion as the stripe land, being straight lines with gaps, or the stripe land's corner, giving a more 2D tile effect to the end dimension. And what applied to the structures in the overworld also applied to the end structure. I mean, take a look at this end rod. It is super stretched out and almost unrecognizable. So great, I discovered and explored every location out beyond the Farlands, including different dimensions, with and without the document, and even found out that the Edge Farlands no longer existed, yet no sign of the sky grid. So when I eventually returned to look at the document for additional clues, I scrolled up only to see useless Farland coordinates that no longer worked. Or at least I thought so, because when I hit enter and finally started teleporting, I was in for a much bigger surprise. The sky grid slowly formed in front of me, with trees growing on singular blocks, weird patterns in the ice, almost as if these sky grid blocks had floated upwards and out of the ground, covering Minecraft for miles and miles. And with the coordinates, I discovered it wasn't any different in the nether or the end. It just kept going. After 2 weeks of hunting for the correct coordinates and almost giving up a whole month before, my hunt was finally over. I had found the sky grid, but there was still one question left. If this sky grid wasn't in a corner, where exactly was I? These questions could keep piling up, but every good story has to come to an end. So to that question, I guess I'll never know. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, check out the video on screen.